You didn't ask for it. You didn't vote for it. And yet every single morning, it commands your life. A shrill sound, a sudden jolt, a vibration next to your head. It pulls you from sleep, from dreams, from warmth, into a world of deadlines, obligations, and blinking notifications. This tiny device, the alarm clock, decides when your day begins. And for most of us, it does so without question. But what if I told you that this wasn't always the case? That waking up on command, at a fixed time, is not part of our biology, but a product of machines, monasteries, empires, and factories? That the alarm clock isn't just a tool, it's a symbol of control? To understand the alarm clock, we need to rewind to a time before timekeeping ruled the day. In the earliest human societies, there were no hours, no minutes, no alarms. People lived by the rhythm of the sun, the patterns of the seasons, the cries of roosters, and the rustle of the wind. Life flowed. You rose when the sky brightened. You slept when it darkened. But everything began to change in the 14th century. In medieval Europe, inside cold stone monasteries, a quiet revolution was brewing. Monks, bound by rigid prayer schedules, needed to know exactly when to rise, even before dawn. And so some of the earliest mechanical clocks were invented, not for the people, not for cities, but for devotion. These clocks didn't have faces. They didn't tell time the way we know it. Instead, they rang bells, at 3 a.m., 6 a.m., midnight. Bells that echoed through corridors and cloisters, commanding monks to wake, pray, and work. In a way, the first alarm clocks weren't personal devices. They were communal signals. And they weren't about productivity. They were about obedience. Fast forward to the 18th century, and the rise of factories. The Industrial Revolution turned time into currency. Every minute lost was money lost. Employers needed workers to show up exactly on time, every day without fail. And so, the wake-up bell left the monastery and entered the working class. Factory towns developed knocker-uppers. People paid to go door to door before dawn, tapping windows with sticks to rouse workers from bed. Some even used pea shooters. It was a job, a profession. Human alarm clocks. But the real breakthrough came in 1787. An American named Levi Hutchins, living in New Hampshire, built what is considered the first personal alarm clock. It was a wooden box with a bell that rang precisely at 4 a.m. every day. Because Levi believed that was the right time to rise and start his work. The key? It couldn't be changed. The alarm rang at 4 a.m., whether you liked it or not. The idea spread. In the 19th century, mechanical alarm clocks became commercially available in Europe and the US. No more knocker-uppers. Now, you had your own taskmaster on your bedside table. And with it came a quiet shift in mindset. Waking up wasn't a natural act anymore. It was an obligation, a duty, a battle between body and bell. By the early 20th century, alarm clocks weren't just practical, they were patriotic. During World War II, posters in America urged citizens to be on time. It helps win the war. Factories needed precise shifts. Soldiers had to train on schedule. A missed alarm was more than laziness, it was un-American. And as clocks evolved, so did the experience of waking up. The 1950s brought electric alarm clocks, sleeker, more reliable, and easier to set. In 1956, General Electric introduced a clock radio. Now instead of bells, people could wake up to their favorite radio station. Music, news, weather, the start of the day got a soundtrack. But something strange was happening. The more convenient our alarms became, the more we seemed to struggle with them. By the 1980s, snooze buttons were everywhere. Studies showed that millions of people weren't waking up on the first ring. They were training themselves to ignore alarms, to delay the day, to bargain with time. And that's when science began asking, why do we even need alarm clocks in the first place? Enter sleep research. In the late 20th century, scientists began mapping human sleep cycles. They discovered that sleep wasn't just a block of unconsciousness. It was a delicate rhythm of stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM. And most importantly, waking up naturally, without an alarm, usually happened at the end of a 90-minute sleep cycle. When you're jolted awake mid-cycle, especially during deep sleep, it can cause grogginess, confusion, even headaches. That foggy, miserable feeling? It's called sleep inertia. Alarm clocks don't care about your cycles. They interrupt. They override. They rip you out wherever you are. But here's the twist. Many people now depend on them. Not because they want to, but because their lives are too packed, too scheduled, too exhausted. And that dependence, it's growing. In 2005, a survey found that over 85% of Americans use an alarm clock regularly. Many people set multiple alarms, backup alarms, alarms on different devices. Some sleep with phones clutched in hand, waiting for that signal. And it's not just about waking up. Alarms now tell us when to take pills, when to stand up, when to meditate, when to eat. The alarm clock has evolved into a micromanager, controlling not just our mornings but our minutes. And then came smartphones. The smartphone didn't just replace the alarm clock, it absorbed it. Now your wake-up call comes from the same device you used to scroll, message, binge, and work. And that changed everything. Because our phones are addictive. You set your alarm. But before sleeping, you check one last email. Then a video. Then two. Suddenly it's 1 a.m. The alarm is still set for 6:30. You've just sabotaged your own sleep with the very device that's meant to protect it. And yet millions of people do this every night. Sleep researchers even have a name for it. Revenge bedtime procrastination. The tendency to delay sleep because the evening is the only time people feel they have control over their lives. So they scroll. And the cycle continues. The modern alarm clock, embedded in your smartphone, is both the villain and the savior. It wakes you up, but it also keeps you up. Meanwhile, tech companies noticed something. If alarms are such a powerful behavioral tool, why not use them for more? Enter the smart alarm. Apps now track your sleep cycles using motion sensors and microphones, and claim to wake you during your lightest sleep phase, so you feel refreshed. Others use gentle sounds that gradually increase in volume, mimicking a sunrise. Some devices use vibration, light pulses, or even temperature shifts to ease you into wakefulness. And then there are wearables, fitness trackers, smartwatches, constantly monitoring your sleep, your heart rate, your oxygen, your stress. We've moved from bells to biometric data. And yet, in this rush for optimization, something gets lost. Because no matter how advanced the tech, your body still knows the truth. Chronic sleep deprivation can't be fixed with clever alarms. You can't hack biology. You can only respect it. The modern world, with its screens, stress, and schedules, has created a paradox. We need alarms because we don't get enough rest. But the very tools we rely on often deepen the problem. So what can we do? First, reclaim the night. Start by setting boundaries with technology. Keep your phone out of the bedroom. Use a traditional alarm clock. Yes, the kind with actual buttons and no apps. Dim the lights an hour before sleep. Avoid screens. Let your body remember what tired feels like, without digital interference. If you must use a phone alarm, set it once. Then don't touch the screen again. Protect the space before sleep like it's sacred. Because it is. Second, listen to your body. Most adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. That's not a luxury. It's a biological requirement. When you deprive yourself of it, you're not being productive. You're being impaired. Sleep strengthens memory, boosts mood, repairs tissues, regulates hormones. It's not downtime, it's maintenance. You can survive without sleep, but you can't thrive. And third, understand what the alarm clock actually represents. It's not just a device. It's a mirror of your schedule, your stress, your obligations. If your alarm feels like an enemy, maybe the problem isn't the sound. Maybe it's everything that comes after. We often treat waking up as the beginning of productivity, but what if it were the end of something deeper? The last breath of rest before a world of urgency? And so that beep, that ring, that vibration, it's more than just noise. It's a message, a reminder, a choice. You can rise groggy and rushed, or rested and ready. You can obey the clock, or collaborate with it. You can treat time as a tyrant, or as a rhythm. Because the truth is, we were never meant to live by alarms. We were meant to live by light, by rest, by rhythm. The alarm clock, for all its invention and utility, is a patch, not a solution. And yet we keep hitting snooze. Maybe not just because we're tired, but because a part of us remembers what it feels like to wake up naturally, without panic, without pressure, without that shrill command. And maybe, just maybe, we want that feeling back.